Hi there, welcome to I Alone Fly Tarot. I'm going to do a tarot card reading for Pisces energy. And for this round of 12 zodiac sign readings, we're going to do a minimum of a 10 card spread. And then we're going to read it from both perspectives because we live in a world of duality and we have a dualistic nature. We can align with our more loving, hopeful nature. We can heal from our past pain and heartbreak. We can not abandon our dreams and we keep moving forward in hope and faith and belief in ourselves. And we maintain our balance so we don't tip into our shadow nature. But some people are still in their shadow nature, and we're all in varying degrees of our shadow nature because we all have our worldly nature. We can all have different levels of fear and insecurity and self limiting beliefs. We can all be kind of selfish and self centered and want what we want when we want it. And, it's just varying degrees of it. And you just have to listen to your intuition, if you're compatible with people because they might be more on an extreme edge than you are about things. Our worldly nature can be our more immature, indulgent, selfish, greedy, prideful, addicted nature in the world, or our emotionally defensive nature in our pride and ego, not willing to open up to people, not willing to be bold and brave and confident in our life. So we're going to see how different people are handling their Pisces energy right now. So let me get these last three cards out. And then I'll turn down the camera so that you can see the cards. Okay, the reason why this reading is coming out is because of the Nine of Swords. Some people can get really caught up in their head, and there's only 10 in each suit. When people are 9 swords up in their head, it's about 1 cup in their heart. And it can be being fearful of love, haven't learned how to love themselves, don't trust other people. If we work through our fears and insecurities and offer love and compassion and forgiveness to ourselves, that we've made mistakes in the past, other people have made mistakes in the past. Life is all about learning lessons and growing and maturing ourselves. And some people have really given a lot of thought to what they love and what is love. Love is patient, love is kind, it does not envy, it does not boast, it does not dishonor others, it's not self seeking, it doesn't delight in evil. Some people are really fearful of being vulnerable because they could get hurt. And so some people choose to keep living from their ego nature and their defensive nature and make their life more about indulging in the world and rejecting love, getting in relationships, creating an illusion you're willing to move forward, but it's really about just as long as it works for them and their ego and their status and their image, and people are indulging them, not requiring them to put in work and effort to work through their fears and insecurities about being vulnerable, then that's a perfect relationship for them as far as they're concerned. And some people aren't willing to give up on their dreams. I've given a lot of thought to what love is and what kind of relationship I want. I want to manifest my dreams into reality. And I'm not going to be up in my fear and my insecurities. I'm going to give a lot of thought to loving myself and believing myself and encouraging myself every day to keep moving forward, investing in my dreams. So let's bring the camera up and point it down so we can see the cards. I'll be picking them up for you as we go, but right now I'll just tell you what we have here. We have the Two of Cups, the Knight of Cups, the Ten of Pentacles, the King of Cups, the Page of Cups, the Pisces card of the Hangman, the Queen of Wands, and then we have a card that's not showing itself, and that can be what some people are rejecting from their life. Could be people who've left their life. We'll talk about all the different things it could be as we go. But it's the World. The World card. Some people don't want other people to know that they're really consumed by the world. Some people don't want to learn lessons in life because that's what the world talks about also. Some people reject learning lessons. It's like, nope, I I'm meant to learn the lesson to work through my fear and insecurity because it keeps me enslaved and imprisoned. And, we're not meant, that's not our dream, right? To be imprisoned by our mind. But some people reject putting in the work and effort it takes to get out of their fear and their insecurity. And some people reject learning lessons because they're happy with the way that they're living their life. If they are living their life all about being self centered or selfish or greedy or manipulative, they don't want to change. Other people Other people maybe have learned lessons and they're just not showing people in the world that they've learned some lessons and that they have no interest in repeating certain patterns of relationship anymore, but other people might not know that. Shadowy Pisces energy can kind of be people who aren't seeing the truth about other people. Some people might think they can come in and make people a love offer and create an illusion and think that people haven't learned their lesson, and they might be surprised to find out some people have. They just didn't know it because people still seem to be acting the same way they have been, and they think they haven't learned their lessons, but they did. They give a lot of thought to what was loving and what wasn't loving. And some people might be surprised, and then they'll be really stressed out. Shit, they learned their lesson. They learned how to love and believe in themselves, and they're not going to put up with my bullshit anymore, you know? Other people don't want a cycle to close. There might be someone that they love in their life, and they don't want it to be over. And then we have the Ten of Swords and the Judgment card. So let's first read it just from the perspective of how people would handle this energy within themselves, because depending on what aspect of their dual nature that they align with will depend on how they use these energies that are available to them. High vibe people have given a lot of thought to love, and they have aligned with their more loving nature instead of their more self-rejecting, self-belittling, fearful, insecure, unloving nature. High vibe people have aligned with love. We have the free will to choose to love and believe in ourselves, treat ourselves in a kind, compassionate way every day, or we can belittle ourselves, we can berate ourselves, we have free will. High vibe people have aligned with loving themselves. And those people are taking action, looking to the future. Knight of Cups, Pisces energy, having hope and faith and belief in themselves, listening to their intuition to guide them, connected in with themselves emotionally, and they're offering love to their worldly foundation. In order to move forward in life and not keep repeating the same patterns of ways of thinking or believing or perceiving our life or whatever, we have to learn to love ourselves. You know, we are our worldly nature. We have to learn to love ourselves. That is like tapping into our divine nature. And when our divine nature loves and encourages our worldly nature, that's when we can manifest miracles into our life, because we're like our own best mother, father, and coach voice in our own head. They're offering love to themselves, and they're also offering love and peace to the world. I want to be in the energy of love. I want to be in loving relationships. I want to be in loving foundations. I want to be in loving, encouraging, supportive workplaces. Some of them could specifically, well, I think when we offer our self-love, we're connecting our heart with our worldly nature, and we're going within, we're connecting in emotionally with our high vibe Virgo nature, which is Ten of Pentacles, about going within out of love for ourselves. I'm going to go within to gain insight and wisdom about what could stop me from moving forward and loving myself, believing in myself, investing in other people who might be stable and grounded and nurturing and loving, who've also gone within to gain insight and understanding about their fears and their insecurities so that they can move forward in love instead of defensiveness or pride or ego or selfishness or greed. And the people who have aligned with love within themselves and offered love to their own foundation, those people are going to start taking action in love. They're going to look to the future. They're going to wish peace to the past. You know, I'm going to let the past pain and heartbreak go. I'm going to have hope and faith and belief in my future. I'm going to love my own inner child nature that has that hopeful, believing nature. And I'm also going to love my more immature, emotional nature that might want to go back and repeat some patterns of the past, because we all like to stay in our comfort zone, right? None of us, you know, it's hard. The Queen of Wands talks about emotionally being bold and brave and confident to move forward. But in order to move forward, Pisces energy, we have to be willing to go through a period of time of maybe feeling stuck as we do this work within ourselves, to love ourselves, nurture ourselves emotionally, kind of like nurture our own inner child, to get out of our fears and insecurities. And while we go through that stage, before we take that bold, brave, confident action in our life emotionally, because the queens can represent our emotional state and the kings can represent how we're taking action in the world. We have to take action to love and nurture ourselves. Why? So that we can see life from a different perspective. When we feel stuck in the world, you know, if we choose to love and believe in ourselves, to invest emotionally in those things in the world that are stable, that are grounded, that are loving, that are nurturing, that are supportive and encouraging within ourselves and others, that's when we can start taking action in the world, feeling more confident within ourselves because we're choosing to love ourselves and realizing we don't control anyone else and we shouldn't try to control anybody else. But the one person in the world who should love and encourage me, if I want to have my dreams come into reality and I want to have the life I dream of, I got to start loving myself. I got to start emotionally nurturing my own inner child nature to grow and mature myself. I need to, instead of feeling stuck, I need to offer love to myself so I can perceive myself and what's possible in the world around me from a different perspective. And when I have done that, and I've expanded my perception of myself in the world and what I believe is possible, that's when we're really connected in with our intuition in our Leo nature. We're ready to take that creative, inspired action because emotionally we have done the work within ourselves to see life differently, to see ourselves differently, to love ourselves instead of insulting ourselves, you know? Deciding I'm going to take action in the world that's loving to myself. I'm not going to take action that's immature. I'm not going to take action that's just going to keep me stuck. I want to move forward in my life. I want to grow. I want to mature myself. I want to be bold and brave and confident. And part of that is not investing emotionally in repeating some patterns of the past. Part of us might be tempted to align with some people or ways of being within ourselves where we did more align with our worldly nature, maybe making our life emotionally more about money and materialism and status and image than truth and love. You know, it makes us feel safe. We all want stability and security, but, you know, we can all feel codependent to a degree and think other people are the answer. And some people might have a soulmate in their past who is offering them stability and security. Well, if those people, shadowy Pisces energy, can be people who live a life of illusion, who it is all about money and materialism and status and image, and they want you to come back and get in a relationship and make your life about those things too, and then you stay right there. You don't take action, listening to your heart and intuition. You don't see life differently than they see it. They're all about the world, some of them. And you're not supposed to take bold, brave, confident action to want to move forward. You stay right here, staying stuck, not listening to your intuition. Make your life all about money and materialism. For other people, you could have moved forward in your life, and some people could have been feeling stuck because maybe they got in a relationship with someone else, because the Queen of Wands can be the other man, other woman. And now they could realize that maybe that wasn't such a good idea. Maybe I wasn't seeing someone clearly. Maybe I had lessons to learn. Maybe I was operating. The kings can be a little bit about thinking we know best. You know, sometimes we can leave one relationship to go get in another relationship because in our pride and ego, we're sure that's the person for us. No, no, God, I know better. This is the person for me. That would be us. Sometimes in the king energy, it can talk about us kind of being in our ego, and shadowy hangman can be about us being in our ego, and the queen of wands kind of us being in our ego. And we had some lessons to learn that when we could have been in relationships that were stable and grounded and loving and in relationships with people like that, we could have moved forward thinking we knew better. No, no, it's this person I'm supposed to be with. And we weren't maybe quite being loving and nurturing to ourselves, and we could have gotten ourselves into a situation that made us feel stuck because maybe we got in a relationship with someone that kind of does live a little bit more from their ego, and that's not really quite aligned with loving, but we could have loved them. you know and it's all about learning lessons. There too, when we take action, the King of Cups talks about your heart. I see it as Cancer energy, about love and home and family. Sometimes we make decisions in our life letting our heart kind of dictate our decisions because it's like, but I love them. Well, as we learn lessons in life, you know, if we love someone who also might be a little stuck, might be not quite aligned with love, maybe we move forward towards that relationship because we had lessons to learn about loving our own foundation instead of thinking, aren't I supposed to give to the people that I love? And we forgot the lesson about learning to love ourselves first so that we kind of don't make decisions just based on our heart and maybe out of pride and ego. And some people might be realizing that I made a mistake and I was supposed to go back and learn how to love myself first so that when I make decisions in my life, I'm doing it from a place of being enlightened to the truth, loving myself, knowing how to nurture myself, being bold and brave and confident instead of looking to other people to love me. And I might love them, but, the whole thing is we could have had some lessons to learn. We needed to go back a step. Our inner child nature is like, I don't know if this is the best idea for us. I think we're getting in a relationship with someone who's kind of stubborn and prideful, maybe egotistical, maybe controlling, maybe playing on our emotions and our love. And maybe we left some people in our life that we maybe had some lessons to learn from about going within and gaining insight and wisdom so we don't take action just based on our heart and our love, and have learned how to love ourselves first before we maybe take action in a relationship. But as you're moving forward, you've learned lessons in life. You have learned how to go within and gain insight and understanding. Other people might still have to go back and learn some lessons about loving themselves first. So we're not enabling maybe people in poor behavior who maybe don't have our best interests at heart, but we love them. But for the people that have already learned those lessons, you've went within, you've gained insight and understanding, you've learned how to love and believe in yourself, you have seen life from a more enlightened perspective, you are aligned with your more hopeful, believing, creative, inspired, intuitive nature. And there might be some people, you might have some other people that you've moved on from, because if you already did this part where you realized, oops, I could have left some loving people in my life because I was sure I knew best. And because we hadn't learned some lessons in our life, things didn't go well. Because we have to learn to get out of our fear and insecurity about love instead of like kind of chasing after people. And sometimes if we hadn't done it already, we have to go back to the beginning and learn to love ourselves. And as you're moving forward now, being more bold and brave and confident within yourself, there could be some people in your past who might be thinking they want to get in a relationship. They might view you as very stable and loving and nurturing. They might be very attracted to you. They might want to make you a love offer, but if they are still operating kind of from pride and ego and maybe use their emotions manipulatively, maybe in their ego, maybe more materialistic, haven't learned how to love and nurture themselves, they might not realize that you have grown and matured yourself and shed some layers of your fear, your insecurity, your self-limiting beliefs. And if they come towards you and try to make you an offer, maybe because they're stuck, maybe because they didn't learn how to love themselves and they want to be in a relationship with you again because they see you as being loving and nurturing. With the people that your intuition tells you still haven't went within to gain insight and understanding about their own fears, insecurities, and self-limiting beliefs, I think you would tell those people, no, you maybe didn't realize that I had learned lessons in life and I have no interest in getting back in relationship with people who remind me of people of my past, who might be people who are very emotionally invested in the world. They could be more aligned with their worldly nature or their ego and image and materialistic nature. And they just present themselves in the world as being like a loving family person, but really they operate more out of pride and ego because they never learned how to love their own self. They look to other people to provide for them and love and nurture them without them doing the work within themselves to align with their more loving, hopeful, believing nature. And so then when they get in relationships and they make love offers to people to get in relationships, they present themselves as like they're willing to move forward, that they're a loving person, but really they're kind of stuck in their pride and ego and emotional defensiveness. And then they try to get people not to end relationships or not learn lessons also, and try to manipulate them to stay in a relationship with them here where nobody holds themselves accountable for their actions. People backstab their dreams, where people let them emotionally manipulate them and indulge them in a relationship. And I think with those people, you're going to be like, no, you maybe didn't realize I had learned my lesson from those type of relationships and people who are like that. And I have, and I've put an end to it because I hold myself accountable for my actions. I temper my fearful, insecure, bossy, controlling, selfish, greedy nature. And I want to be in relationships with other people who have to. And some of those people that you're leaving behind could be really stressed because you have worked through all your fears and insecurities, or a layer of them, because we're continually shedding layers of our more worldly nature throughout our life if we are willing to keep growing and learning and maturing ourselves. And some of those other people could be really stressed because you're no longer willing to indulge them or people like that in a relationship. Some other people might want to be in a relationship with you. Some of those people could have gotten in a relationship with someone else in the interim. And they see you moving forward, that you have ended whatever you had been attached to in your past or ways of thinking or perceiving life. And you're moving forward. And some of those people could be stressed because they're maybe a relationship never got off the ground with you and some other people in your life, or a relationship had ended at one time because people just had different life lessons to learn and you kind of weren't on the same page. And now some people could see that you've done all this work within yourself and you're moving forward, and other people in the world who maybe had always would have liked to gotten back in a relationship with you, might have gotten themselves in a relationship, and now they could feel stuck in a relationship. And they're not sure if they're willing to keep staying in the job or the friendship group or the relationship that they're in. They might know the truth and they have learn some lessons along their journey in life too? Well, if they're in relationships with other people who might be a little more emotionally immature than they are, what are they going to do? Are they going to stay in this relationship maybe because it looks very successful by worldly standards with the Ten of Cups, Ten of Pentacles? Maybe some of them got in a relationship with people who have a lot of money and materialism, or maybe you did. Maybe you're the one who sees other people moving forward, and you're the one who feels stuck kind of in a relationship right now. Put yourself in the story where you fit. Some people could have gotten in a relationship. It seemed very solid. It seemed very stable. They could have been offering love to someone, thinking their dreams are going to come into reality. And then it ends up that the person they came to realize and became enlightened about is that the person they went and got in a relationship with is someone who is much more maybe worldly focused, ego focused, image focused, materialistically focused, instead of love focused, and they use their emotions manipulatively. Well, some people right now could be wondering, the thought of ending that, partly maybe because that job or that relationship has a lot of worldly benefit to it, maybe, and they could be a little bit up in their, the Hangman and the Queen of Wands can be about, we're in a foundation that by worldly standards looks very successful. It's very stable. It's very grounded. It's very abundant in worldly ways. It's maybe not very emotionally abundant because some people are wondering, oh my gosh, I got in this relationship. But now I'm wondering, did I get in a relationship with someone who also isn't aligned with love? Did I get in this relationship? Maybe more because, I don't know, I wanted to be in a relationship and this seemed like a good idea at the time. And, I wanted to be loved. I wanted to be in a relationship. Now I feel stuck because, that's the thing. We kind of get emotionally entangled with people that either we had illusions about and we find out the truth that they're kind of manipulative or bossy or controlling or prideful or egotistical or self-centered or whatever the case might be. And we're up in our head like, shit, And in order to leave that, if people have seen the truth, the world is kind of like, I've learned the lesson I was meant to learn in this life experience, but I'm still in it. Are they willing to stay in it and not close it out and live a life of feeling like they backstabbed and betrayed themselves because maybe they don't want to be judged? They might have an ego and an image, that they like to maintain, and going to settle for staying in a job or relationship or friendship group where they feel every day like their dreams are over because they're not willing to listen to their intuition, that the relationship has turned out to be where maybe it's not about love, and maybe realizing they maybe didn't get in a relationship for love. Maybe they got into it because of money and materialism. Some people aren't going to end those relationships, even though they know it should end. They're not going to because of the money and materialism and status and image. Other people know better. They know it might cause them a lot of stress and anxiety to be in the relationship they got themselves in, but some of the people did purposely, in shadowy energy, get into that relationship because maybe a big fear of theirs, because Pisces moon can talk about our fears. Maybe some people really have a lot of fears and insecurities, either about stability or wondering if they can be someone who's loving and nurturing and work together well with people. And so they choose to get in relationships that seem very stable and secure and gives them good status and image and all those things. And that way they don't have to be vulnerable in a relationship because they're fearful about love. They're fearful about being loving, you know? And so they get in relationships just for the stability and the security. And some people know that they're backstabbing their dreams, but if they're so fearful of being vulnerable and loving in a relationship or believing in themselves, or they have low self-esteem or low self-confidence, they'll stay in a, and maybe even purposely get in relationships like that because they want those things that, you know, being in that relationship does provide them, you know. If they have people in their life that are kind of willing to invest in them emotionally, and, you know, that's what they're looking for, is maybe someone who can provide them with a sense of stability and security. Maybe they haven't learned how to love themselves. So if they can find someone who is willing to kind of indulge them in kind of being codependent, you know, you know, maybe they're willing to stay in a relationship like that, and other people in their life weren't willing to kind of enable them not learning to be bold and brave and confident within themselves, to work through their own fears and insecurities, to love themselves, you know, because that's what's being codependent is like, I don't know how to love myself. I don't think and egotistically it can be, I don't think I should have to put in the work and effort to learn to work through my fears and insecurities. Again, some people have illusions about relationships. Some people think it's like, I don't ever have to offer love to my own foundation to get out of my fears and insecurities. Don't I just go get in a relationship and those people love me and then think miraculously everything will go okay? Well, if you haven't learned how to love yourself and you have all these fears and insecurities and self-limiting beliefs and you don't love yourself, odds are you might probably wonder why other people are being in a relationship with you. You might know that you're using your emotions manipulatively, that you're defensive and afraid of being hurt and afraid of people leaving you. And then you can become manipulative because you're so afraid of people ending a relationship with you. You know, that people get in their shadow energy. They present themselves as maybe loving to the world, but maybe behind closed doors, they're stubborn, they're prideful, they're manipulative, they're controlling and all these things because they're so afraid that the people in their life who maybe are loving and giving and warm, they know they're not being just and fair in a relationship. They know they're not being truthful and honest and vulnerable and authentic. And also, some of the people who know they're not being truthful and honest and authentic, they know they're not being that way. So then they start to fear, in the Nine of Swords, that other people aren't being authentic because they know they're not. And again, they can become manipulative and, you know, kind of all these negative, shadowy ways of being in order to make sure or to try to figure out if their partner's being authentic or not, you know. It's just so much easier to just be truthful and honest about how you feel, right? For those of you, you're willing to hold yourself accountable. You are clear about the truth. You have given it a lot of thought. It's about love. Some of you could have distanced yourself from some people and you don't want that to be over. And if those people, you're now could be kind of like humbling yourself, making a small gesture in the Page of Cups, you know, like a friendly gesture of, let's be friends, you want to hang out, you want to get a coffee, regardless if it's a friend, a family member, whoever it was that you might have not stayed in relationship with because you thought there was other people in the world that you loved. And as you move forward, you learn lessons in life that, oh, I guess those people aren't who I thought they were. I might have been illuminated that they were either are people who are manipulative or they're people who are fearful of love. And you don't want to live in a world like that. So you've ended those relationships and you have made final decisions about those relationships. And there might be some people in your life that you had distanced yourself from that you would like to reconnect with. And some of the people that you might want to reconnect with could be afraid that you're creating an illusion, and they're really giving a lot of thought. They might make, because they're loving people, and they could have realized that you had lessons to learn in life just like they had lessons to learn in life. Everybody might be willing to work together and not operate from pride and ego and, oh my gosh, you hurt me before, I'm never going to talk to you again. I'm going to turn my back on you. And some of the people might be thinking about that right now. You could have been back here in a relationship, and some other people had to move on because you ended things with them because you weren't ready to move forward in a relationship with them. Some of those people could be reaching out to you. Maybe you're reaching out to them. They're kind of wondering, should I be in my pride and ego and turn my back to them? And they're really giving it a lot of thought. And the people who don't want to move forward in pride and ego know that if they don't, maybe there's some unresolved issues here. And if they don't resolve it and they just act more from their mind and their heart, they know as they move forward, it's always going to be on their mind. So it's always good to kind of, try to resolve issues and see things from other people's perspectives. And we have learned more lessons in our life where we're a little maybe more grounded or stable or listen to our intuition more or whatever. There can be other people in our life that could be caught up a little bit more in their worldly nature. If that's, I've just got lessons to learn. I haven't learned how to love myself. I haven't learned to go within to gain insight and understanding and listen to my intuition more. Some of the people, if that's you, and then other people in your life also that you could have, moved on without you, those people are wondering if they should operate out of pride and ego. But if they know, if you don't communicate with those people or they don't communicate with you, they're going to feel stuck because they'll always wonder. So nothing wrong with people reaching out and, the only thing is you have to listen to your intuition. I mean, love is what helps everybody heal and grow. I mean, it doesn't necessarily mean that we want to get back in relationships with people, but we want to resolve the past and apologize. The Page of Cups can be, I want to apologize. There was things, I was looking at the life from, I was completely turned upside down, or, I was so caught up in my feelings and my emotions that, and we can all listen to our intuition. People cannot move forward with people in friendships and relationships because they really are listening to their intuition. And if their heart is telling them, I can have love for some of these people here, but maybe right now my heart is stuck on someone else. And until that goes to its complete cycle of expending itself, going to its natural conclusion, I can't, in good conscience, keep investing in relationships with people who I might have love for if I really think my heart is still up in its head about someone else. So, like I say, some things could have come to conclusions. Okay, let's take a quick look at people in shadowy energy. And that's what you have to listen to your heart about. Not everybody who we moved away from or that moved away from us, high vibe people didn't have ill intent. I think you're a great person. I wish I could take that job. I wish I could continue to be in a relationship with you. But I have to listen to my intuition about what I think is the right thing for me to do. And if it ends up I'm going to get backstabbed and betrayed because I'm not seeing people clearly or life clearly, well, I'm going to learn some lessons, and I'm going to go through some difficult times that are going to try to teach me some lessons of learning to love myself and listen to my intuition to guide me and being more stable and grounded instead of getting caught up. Pisces energy can be about getting caught up kind of in fantasy land and illusions about people, kind of like being a real romantic, or whatever. And we need to invest in maybe staying more grounded and being more, I don't know, Virgo energy is paying attention to the details, not getting caught up in fantasy land of illusions about people, not seeing the truth. People show us the truth of who they are every day. Are they kind of immature? Are they kind of reckless? Are they kind of indulgent in a reckless, unloving manner? How long do you want to keep being an illusion about people like that? When do you want to be in a relationship with grown, mature people? People who are a little more stable and grounded, who pay attention to the details of a relationship instead of being kind of stubborn and wanting to do what they want to do, hoping that maybe you won't learn your lessons and you'll let them keep backstabbing and betraying you, and you'll keep staying in a relationship with you. And the people who had to move away from you were really stressed because they would have maybe liked to have been in a relationship with you, but you had lessons to learn. Well, some of you, like I say, have learned those lessons, and you might be reaching out to some of the people who had to be bold and brave to believe in themselves to keep moving forward in their life, even though the relationship with you had ended and they had to move forward. Well, now that you've learned some lessons in life, or people have, you might be reaching out to some of those people, and some of those people might be willing to talk with you to see, have you really learned your lesson or not? Because some of them would still like to be in a relationship with you. They don't want it to be over. And you just got to listen to your intuition. If you're one of the people who had other people end relationships with you, well, how did they end the relationship with you? Were they mean? Were they rude? Did they throw you under the bus? Did they create illusion about the whole thing because they had an image that they wanted to maintain, and they certainly didn't want people in the world to know that they were the ones who wanted to end the relationship? They weren't being truthful and honest, and I think I'm attracted to someone else. I think that's not over. I think I need to go get in a relationship with them. And if, or was it all to hide it from the world that they wanted to end the relationship with you? Either because they were attracted to someone else, they're more emotionally invested in money and materialism, they're emotionally defensive to love, they're kind of prideful and egotistical, and if you weren't willing to do the relationship and be really fixed, kind of like they could be fixed, then they wanted you to leave because you don't view life the way they view it. And you weren't willing to indulge them being maybe very worldly focused, presenting a false mask to the world, being stubborn, prideful, and manipulative. Well, those are the people that we wish them peace to. But yeah, that would be the type of relationship that's definitely over. Because they've shown you the truth of who they are. You could have loved them, but if they showed you that if they start to feel stressed and anxious in a relationship because you are loving, you are bold, you are creative, you do want to move forward, and they don't, but they don't want the world to know that they're fearful of being vulnerable, or that they are more materialistic or prideful or egotistical, whatever the case can be, that if you aren't willing to stay in the relationship and wear this mask and operate from pride and ego to keep in a relationship with them, well, then they'll just backstab and betray you. Yeah, those are not the people we're talking about. You might wish them peace because we have to kind of wish peace to the past, that, people are going to reap what they sow. We don't want to be an ugly energy of anger and revenge or ego. It's like, I hope it works out for you. I think you're going about life in a living more from your mind than your heart, maybe living from a very materialistic viewpoint, maybe wearing a false mask in the world because you're actually kind of stubborn and prideful and egotistical, or emotionally defensive and fearful of love, but you don't want to tell anybody any of those things. Well, with those people, it's definitely over. And if you did have some other type of people in your life that you could have kind of rejected at one time because you had lessons to learn, they could have rejected you because they had some lessons to learn, but everybody wasn't trying to be awful and backstabbing and selfish and wishing the worst for you, you know. Um, some of those people might be willing to re engage just to see, is this really over? Did you learn lessons? Or have you not learned lessons? And the people who are aligned with loving and believing in themselves are listening to their intuition about people coming into their life, and they're bold and brave and confident enough to let this go. If you haven't grown up, if you haven't matured yourself, if, you know, you're just making an offer for whatever, wanting to be in a relationship, or because you have fears and insecurities about if you're ever going to get in a relationship again, or if anybody's going to love you, or whatever, no, I don't want to be in a relationship with someone like that. I wish you peace. Hope it works out. But until you learn to love your own foundation and get to where you are enlightened to the truth that life's about being bold and brave and confident and listening to your intuition, and if it's not love, I'm going to give it a lot of thought to figure out if it is love, and if it ain't love, it's over. High vibe people kind of are carrying that energy also right now, and other people might be in the in-between phases like I just talked about. Just depends on where you're at. Shadowy people right now are aligned with loving the world. Their long-term goal is to look really successful in life, maybe to get or be indulged in relationships because they have illusions about what it means to be in a relationship. They think it is all about them, indulging in things of the world. And they're going to present themselves as a loving family person in the world, make a small gesture to someone. They also might make a gesture to someone in their past because they might have also moved forward and away from some people in their life, but they might have moved more because of pride and ego and image and status and wanting to be in a relationship with someone who doesn't want them to go within to gain insight and understanding about themselves. And they, being emotionally manipulative, could have went to go get in another relationship just to make you feel stuck and put you up in your competitive nature and in your pride and ego. And that if that new relationship they went to go get in didn't work out, then because they did backstab and betray you, they were stubborn, they were prideful, they were egotistical, they're kind of hoping you're still in your pride and ego about it. And that if they make you an offer to get back into a relationship with them, that now you'll be willing to do life on their terms. And nobody learns lessons. Everybody backstabs, believing in their dreams. Everybody decides we are going to live a life of fear and insecurity and stay in this relationship because we don't believe in ourselves. Perfect. That's what they say. They say, perfect. I'm going to keep presenting myself as like a loving family person. I'm going to be immature and prideful and egotistical and manipulative. And because you don't believe in yourself and you feel stuck, then I'm going to get in a relationship with you. Other people, they really want, and then there's the people who really want, are really more materialistic driven, and you're going to have to listen to your intuition about them. They could have gotten in a relationship with someone who had money and materialism. They presented themselves as loving. They're willing to emotionally manipulate someone to get what they want. And the person that has the money that they want to be in a relationship with ended it. They don't want the world to know that, though. And they also haven't learned any lessons from this life experience. So now they're really stressed out because that didn't work. So now they could be thinking, I know, I'm going to go make a love offer to the people I had moved away from when I went to go get in this relationship. Maybe with someone who they think, lives life the same way they do. Very maybe competitive, prideful, stubborn, egotistical. They left the loving people because they're really not on board with love. They're more inspired and motivated by money and materialism and status and image. And they went to go get in a relationship with someone who has that same philosophy of life, who's very competitive in the world. But the person they went to go get in a relationship with could have backstabbed them. So now their plan is, I'm going to go back and make an offer to the loving people. And I bet that will kick up the competitive energy of the person who ended a relationship with me. And that might make them really stressed out that, oh my gosh, that person I left went back to those loving people. I don't like them being in a relationship with those loving people. I don't want those people to seem like they have it all. I want it all. It's kind of like people in devilish energy. You know, the devil always wants what they don't got. And even if it's not for love, they want it. And to someone else who is very prideful and egotistical, ended a relationship with someone else who they also know is kind of prideful and egotistical, and if maybe they're not sure about their own beginning, this person knows that. They kind of use their intuition in a shadowy way. And it's all about triangulating people. I know. I'm going to go I'm going to apologize to the people I backstabbed and betrayed, hoping they'll come back and get in a relationship with me so that the person I left them for who backstabbed me will come back and get in a relationship with me because I really want the money. I really want the status. You know, if there's people in your life who really backstabbed and betrayed you, I mean maliciously, not people who, you know, they thought they were in love with someone else and they needed to go see, you know, in good conscience, not being in a relationship with you and creating an illusion. They had to go finish out that cycle, you know, or they had lessons to learn. I'm talking about people who are really pretty malicious, liars, connivers, you know, all those prideful, egotistical people. Those are the people that all they do is triangulate and manipulate people. There's always a hidden agenda. They're always calculating and plotting and planning of how can I get things to go in my favor. It's never about really being authentic. It's always about wearing a social mask. They don't want the world to probably, that would be kind of like a narcissist. Someone who has, you know, wants to maintain this image, but they never have learned how to love their own foundation. Their whole life has maybe been about wearing a social mask. Their own inner child nature is stuck somewhere in their mind, in their ego, and their ego is running their life. And it's all about presenting this facade to the world. Look how loving I am. Look how stable and abundant and whatever I am. Look how, you know, successful I am in the world. But then they get in relationships and they're not, it's all an illusion. And if they get in relationships with people who are trying to encourage them to really bring that dream into reality, to be everything they say they were, well, they kind of get in their ego about that and their competitive nature because the high vibe people are really living the life that they create the facade of living. And that kicks up their competitive energy and they don't like it. And they don't want to do the work and effort it takes to get out of their more prideful, self-centered, whatever facade way of being. And they don't like that you have grown and matured yourself and healed from your past pain and heartbreak, and you don't operate from pride and ego and pettiness like they do. And they do want to backstab and betray you because you somehow work through all your fears and self-limiting beliefs to love yourself, and they've never done that. All they do is stay up in a mental prison about love, but they never decide to love themselves so that they could free themselves. They just keep wearing the social mask, keep making decisions out of pride and ego. When they get in a relationship and they feel stuck because the other people want them to put an end to their old ways of being and be held accountable for their actions, they just end it, and then they're really stressed that other people would maybe see the truth. So then they go get in another relationship to look like they're really successful. They've had a new beginning. But it's all just the same old thing over and over. Some of them could have gotten in a new relationship with someone else who's bold and brave and confident, and it ended again. And if they keep trying to get in relationships with people who are loving and giving because they want to be in those relationships, Because who doesn't want to be in relationships with people who are loving and giving and warm, and loyal and committed? But it never ends well because these people wear a false mask. And then if they decide, you know what, I'm kind of tired of living the illusion, I'm going to maybe go see if I can go get in a relationship with someone who's as driven and motivated by money and materialism and status and image as much as I am. That is really the person of my dreams. Some of them did that and they got backstabbed. Why? Because neither one of the people are being open and honest and authentic. If they meet someone else who has more money, more status, more image, is going to indulge them more. Because whenever you're in a relationship with people, people got to compromise. And some people are very self-centered and egotistical, and they want to be the pampered person in the relationship. Where they can just present this mask to the world. Aren't you happy? I present a mask of being a happy, loving family person. But I want to be immature, and I want to be prideful and egotistical. I don't want to be held accountable for my actions. Who the hell is going to indulge me and love me in a relationship? Well, they get in relationships with people just like themselves, and it's not a very good relationship because both people are immature and stubborn and prideful and self-centered and egotistical and want to be the pampered person in a relationship. Yeah, they just maybe created themselves a little hell on earth. It's a never-ending nightmare. Why? Because they've never learned to align with having some hope and faith and belief in love, to think they deserve better, to be authentic, to quit wearing the mask, to get out of their emotionally defensive, prideful nature, and quit making their life all about this false facade. How about living your life authentically? How about seeing the world from a different perspective? But then they may say, no, I'd be judged. If I were to change now, I'd be judged, and I don't want to be judged. So if they know that loving, giving, kind, supportive people aren't going to keep tolerating them, they might be really stressed out because they're in a relationship and maybe going to have to settle for being in relationships with people who are just like themselves. It'd be like two people who are addicts, right? Wouldn't you love to be, if you're an addict to whatever you're addicted to, self-centeredness, money, ego, fear, insecurity, drugs, alcohol, wouldn't you like to be in a relationship with people who are really loving and giving and warm? Wouldn't you like that better than being in a relationship with someone who's got the same addictions that you do? Who's going to be the loving, giving person in the world? So some of the people who didn't choose love could be realizing they backstabbed and betrayed themselves because they were unwilling to hold themselves accountable. They were unwilling to emotionally invest within themselves to work through their fears and insecurities, to take down each one of those swords and look at it and say, who put all these thoughts in my head? Where did I get so fearful and insecure from? Was it Uncle Bob when I was 12 said this? Well, fuck Uncle Bob. I'm going to go live my life. Throw that sword away. Was it because, you just got to work through all of them? Who put all these thoughts in our head? Where'd they come from? Why do we wrap them in a blanket and feed them like a baby and grow them? What we invest in emotionally are more fearful, insecure, not believing in our self-nature. Whichever one aspect of ourself we invest in is going to be the one that grows and gets bigger. And we have free will. We can put in happy earbuds. We can educate ourselves. We can offer love to our foundation so we can grow and mature ourselves so that we could see life around us differently, so that we could start to take emotionally bold, brave, confident action and put an end to caring about if people judge us or not. I choose love. Judge away. I'm moving forward in my life, And as people take that creative, inspired action, Sagittarius energy and the Eight of Wands talks about educating yourself, they can drop a sword. One of the thoughts is dropped away. Now we're down to 8. Then maybe we can start to listen to our intuition. Is it just and fair for me to be in fear and insecurity and codependency and wear a false mask all my life? Don't I deserve to live my authentic life? And if we start to do this work through our fears and insecurities and listen to our intuition about what is just and fair and what do we deserve? Do we deserve to be imprisoned by our fear, our insecurity, our pride and ego, or do we deserve to be free? But other people are not the answer to freeing ourselves. It comes from us choosing to align with starting to love ourselves and to put in the work and effort to take action in our life in a way that is loving and respectful and compassionate and forgiving to ourselves. And then we'll start to see life differently. And we might be inspired to not make our life about the world and caring about what people say about us, because true joy and happiness kind of comes from loving yourself. It's like the world's going to think whatever the hell they think based on what they're aligned with. The icky, crabby people aren't going to like what you do no matter what. You know, the judgmental, self-righteous, whatever, they're not going to like you no matter what you do, because they're in their ego and competitive and kind of in jealousy and envy and all that crap. The loving people of the world will love you and they'll encourage you and support you. So some people who've learned lessons in life want to invest in other people who've went within to gain and learn lessons in life, who've chosen to take action in their life out of love instead of fear and ego and insecurity. And as they're moving forward in life, they're going to offer peace to the people who are coming up behind them. And the people who are moving forward in their life are going to reach out to other people in their life that they perceive as being loving, who've also seen life from a different perspective. And those people are going to be gracious to those people, or you as you're coming up. You know, the whole thing is about, we all have lessons learned in life, and love is the only thing that heals. So we offer people kindness and respect, encouragement, and we hope that they get out of their fear, their insecurity, their pride and ego, because we need more emotionally mature, stable, grounded people in the world, right? It doesn't mean that we're going to have any more involvement with them than as a social acquaintance who is a kind person in the world, who smiles at people, you know, and offers, you know, is authentic. But it doesn't mean we have to move forward with them in a more involved relationship, you know. Again, sometimes we're on different pages, you know. Some people right now are just at a stage of really investing in themselves. Other people and getting grounded within themselves, and they need to maybe work with other people in the world and life who are doing on kind of that same page of life. And other people might be at a place where they've just seen, you know, the whole way of viewing life has opened up for them, because the Pisces hangman is about being enlightened to the truth. That life is about really listening to your intuition to guide you, and being emotionally bold and brave and confident, and no longer caring about what people got to say about you. You know, I choose to be peaceful and kind and loving, and you'd be surprised at how many people get all kicked up in their competitive nature, and they're jealous and they're envious and blah blah blah, because you're not limited and confined to the same fears and insecurities and rules and regulations that they think they got to live by in order to not have people judge them, and they're wearing a false mask. And then there's other people who want to be in relationships, you know, that can be your children, your parents, your siblings, friends, coworkers, love interests, who don't want you to move forward with them. And I would say it looks like some people are really giving a lot of thought to communicating to some people, because the Eight of Wands can talk about communication, that they've really been up in their head about, you know, what's just and fair, and if the people in their life that they love were ever going to balance themselves out and be more emotionally independent And the Nine of Cups is Pisces energy too. And it talks about being emotionally independent from the world because you've learned how to fill your own cup. Getting out of relationships with people who are kind of controlling you and manipulating you and backstabbing you. You know, we can have people in our life that we love and we're worried that they're never going to get out of those situations. We can worry about ourselves if we're in them. Are we ever going to get out of it? Are we ever going to get the justice we deserve? Well, you know, if we keep enabling people that aren't choosing to be loving, they have no incentive to do things any differently. So when we know we have done everything we can, we've offered love to the foundation. If our intuition is telling us it's time to move forward, we let go of an Ace of Swords, an idea. If it's not based on truth and love, then I need to let this go, even though I'm in a mental prison about it. Because we've all lived enough life to maybe know that when we don't listen to our intuition, it just gets worse and worse. We're kind of enabling unloving people, and they can get more stubborn, more prideful, more controlling. We're starting to create a little hell on earth, and we need to listen to our heart and intuition. We wish them peace, but I am going to listen to my intuition, and even though I might not want this relationship to be over for good, I will end it. Because the truth is, I deserve to move forward in my life with people who do listen to their intuition, who are just and fair and balanced, who have learned how to fill their own cup so that they can give to others freely. And where they can give up their illusions of the world in order to work together with people from a deep emotional foundation and quit aligning and letting other people and other negative energies distract them or interfere with them aligning with love. If they still have illusions that their justice will come from indulging in the past and repeating those patterns, and they think living their life that way is a just and fair way to live their life, well, then everybody's got free will. If that's your free will choice, to think it's just and fair for you to either indulge yourself repeating these patterns or being in relationships where people indulge you, well, that's your free will choice. You know, people tell us what motivates and inspires them by the actions that they take in their life. And if they're more motivated to emotionally invest in the world, if they're more motivated by money and materialism, if they're more motivated by pride and ego, if they're more motivated at living more from their mind than their heart, then the divine wants us to see the truth and quit being an illusion about them. And move forward. Listen to your intuition to guide you to get the justice you deserve. It is an injustice to be in a relationship with people who don't choose love. We can keep being an illusion with them if we want. We can keep being stressed and fearful, and we can keep staying here wishing things would change. Sometimes the way to make things change is by us moving forward. And when other people see that we're bold and brave, that we were willing to step out of our comfort zone into unknown territory, that we're maintaining our balance, we're not letting hurtful, unkind, selfish, greedy people stop us from manifesting our dreams, maybe that'll be the thing to say, well, why don't I do that? Now I feel stuck back here because I got in relationships or operated from pride and ego. Why are they getting there? Why are they getting this wonderful life? I want that wonderful life. And some of them might decide, I'm going to quit making my life about the world or my ego or my worldly nature, and I'm going to put an end to it. I really need to work through my stress and anxiety and my fears and self-limiting beliefs. I want my dreams to come into reality too. So, you're either being a good example in the world, in love and truth and honesty, and not living in illusion and fantasy land about people, or you're one of the people caught up in the illusion and the fantasy land having illusions. So there you go, Pisces. Some of you could be in a relationship. I guess we should talk about that too. Some people are in a relationship right now because both people have given a lot of thought. They're not letting themselves get caught up in their fears and insecurities. They don't want to repeat patterns of the past. They want to be in deeply emotionally committed relationships, those people have learned lessons from past life experience. They're loving their own foundation so that they can offer love to others, and being in the energy of hope and belief with a pure, innocent child nature, seeing things from other people's perspectives, being bold and brave because they don't want this to end. They have put an end to the old ways of being, and they've given a lot of thought to what is love and what isn't love, and that is how they're going to move forward. And same way for people that are, anybody who's in relationships right now, the people that have learned the lessons that they were meant to learn about what it means to not be an illusion, and basically to detach in the past. If I'm going to emotionally invest in this relationship, I'm not going to do it till I'm completely detached from the past. I'm not going to be stressed about someone from my past, blah blah blah. If I'm going to invest in this relationship, this is it. It's only moving forward. There is no, the past is resolved. And people are listening to their intuition. They want to be independent of the past. They want to be independent of their more materialistic, fearful, stubborn, defensive nature. They want to have the emotional wish fulfillment. And if they're not currently in a relationship, they want to get in relationships with people who are like that. Because that's us manifesting our dreams into reality. Being in relationships with other people who have grown and matured themselves, have gained insight and wisdom about and learned lessons from their past life experiences, and they don't want to repeat those patterns anymore or ways of being. They're going to have that hopeful, believing nature, seeing things from other people's perspectives, being bold and brave, holding themselves accountable so they don't backstab this, and giving a lot of thought and taking action from a place of love. So there you go, Pisces. I wish you all peace, love, and joy. I will see you next time. Bye-bye.